Welcome to the Manders Mindset podcast. Here you'll find both monologue and interviews of entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and a variety of other people, where your host Amanda Russo will discuss her own mindset and perspective and her guest mindset and perspective on the world around us. Manders and her guests will help explain to you how shifting your mindset will shift your life.
Welcome to Manders Mindset, where we explore the power of shifting your mindset to shift your life. I'm your host, Amanda Russo, and I am so excited to be here with today's guest. I am joined with Adam Torres, and he is the host of the Mission Matters series, ranked in the top 2.5% of podcasts worldwide. As the co-founder of Mission Matters, a media branding and book publishing agency, he's passionate about amplifying the voices of entrepreneurs, entertainers, executives, and experts. He is also an international speaker and the author of multiple best-selling books on business and investing. His insights have been featured in major outlets, including Forbes, Yahoo Finance, Fox Business, and CBS. And I am so excited to speak with Adam today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, dang, Amanda, that intro is pretty fancy. Thank you. I'm excited to be on the show finally.
I'm excited to have you. So that's an amazing bio. But what would you say Adam is at the core?
Chat GPT wrote it. No, I'm just like, what's at the core? The core really is I'm obsessed with helping other people tell their stories. So like when I fell into the podcasting format and I understood podcasts and I started to get a feel for it, I realized that there's just so many people that don't have the opportunity to voice their story, to share, to connect. And when I started my first show many years ago, I was just hooked. I was hooked. And then I started thinking, well, other people need to start more shows. And so here I am years later. I've done over 6,000 interviews. This year, I'll do over 1,500 interviews. And my company, we've helped others launch over 250 shows now. It's kind of insane, but I love it. Every single day, I'm doing interviews. If you think about it, I did an interview today. I was in iHeartRadio studios in Burbank. I was on one of their shows. I interviewed a couple of people. That now, most importantly, I'm a Manders Mindset. Come on.
That's so cool. Now, I'd love if we could backtrack. Can you take me down memory lane a little bit? Tell me about childhood, bringing, however deep you want to go.
Yeah, all good. So I was born in Detroit, Henry Ford Hospital. So Detroit, southwest side of Detroit specifically, and had a lot of fun growing up. I grew up in the time period of the Detroit Pistons winning a bunch of championships and Little Caesars pizza and just all those things. I just had some really good childhood memories there. And that was really where it all started. That's where I think I got a little bit of my work ethic. Like Detroiters are workers. We work I don't know what it is. That factory upbringing, whether it's, people, a lot of individuals that worked in the factories and just, in the trades and other things like that I grew up around and were hard workers.
And any siblings?
No, only child, only child. There you go. My mom's only.
So how was that growing up as an only child?
I was always the kind that worked a little bit more than maybe I even should have. So when I think about that, as soon as I was, I don't know, 16 and I could drive, I was already working 2, 3 jobs. Didn't really have to, like it wasn't, you're just average middle class, but I just always had that thing in me that wanted to do something and, I don't know, go out there and explore, make something, do something. And so I found myself working a lot.
No, you say you didn't really notice that. So when did you notice it, that you were working a lot?
No, I mean, the only child thing, like when people are like, oh, well, were you spoiled or were you not or this or that? I was out doing my own thing. I don't know. My mom said from a pretty young age, she's like, you just started doing your own thing. And we go back far enough and she's like, why? You just started dressing yourself one day. You didn't like how I did it. I was like, how old was I? She's like 5. I don't know. So I don't know. She said I was just a weird kid. And I guess, when you're raised around grown-ups, things like that, you don't know what you don't know. Like, so they kind of just talked to me like I was one of them. So I didn't know. That was it.
I gotcha. And how was school for you?
I was pretty fortunate. I didn't really it's kinda like one of those things, like, you don't know what you don't know, so since looking back, I was very fortunate. I didn't really realize it at the time. Now I do, but I had a lot of people that took care of me during school. I mean, the teachers, the faculty, obviously my parents, but my school experience was pretty good, and what an interesting thing was I just didn't really know what I wasn't supposed to do or was supposed to do, so I kinda was able to sometimes make up the rules yourself and it was okay. And like just little things like I remember early memory. I remember wow, I haven't thought about this one in a while. Is I remember when I was talking to really young, I was probably like sixth grade, and I'm like, I need a hall pass. And they're like, well, what do you need it for? And I'm like, well, because I need one to, to handle student council business. They made me my own hall pass. It was ridiculous. I'd just be walking around the halls. I was done with my work. I wasn't exactly dumb, so I get done with work pretty early. And just started walking around because, I was an official student council business.
Were you in student council?
Absolutely. I did all that kind of stuff. I don't know how or why the people just asked me to do things. To this day, people ask me to do. Hold on. If you're listening to this and you want me to do something, stop asking. I stopped saying yes to anything. But throughout before this interview of Manders Mindset, people used to ask me to do things and I said yes. So, I always get roped into something. And then in my adult life, that would turn into being roped into like a chamber of commerce or who knows, whatever they put me in.
God.
You know how that works is I got roped into my first podcast. Me and the other co-founder here, Shirag, we're like, who's going to do this show? I'm like, I'm not doing a podcast. I don't even know what that is. He's like, yeah, you're doing it. I'm like, I'm not doing it. And then he's like, yeah, you're doing it. I'm like, all right, fine. What is a podcast?
You're killing me. Oh my God.
I can't killing
Okay.
me. It's life. Life does this to you.
So did you get good grades in school?
I mean, I was your average, 2.5 all the way. Come on. I hovered between 2.3 and 2.8. Come on. I wasn't the classes I liked, I got A's in. The other ones, I don't know. I just didn't do anything and I just kind of like doodled and, then took a test and that was that. Oh, that's my entire college. That's my whole school career, by the way, all the way through college.
Oh my gosh. So you went to college. What'd you go to college for?
International relations. So I went to Michigan State University, James Madison College, and it was an awesome experience. I went to college to travel. So I studied in Mexico, Belgium, Prague, Brussels. I was in Spain, just all over the place. Being from Michigan, I didn't know anybody that had really traveled much, at least not where I was from. And it was kind of fun just to get out there and explore. So that's why I chose international relations. And when I was 18, I was on my first plane and heading to Europe. By myself, by the way, solo traveler. Yep, by myself.
So you chose international relations with the mindset of you wanted to travel.
Yeah, that was it. I just wanted to travel. That was it. I said, that's a good major. Let's do it.
Did you think you were going to do anything with international relations?
I think I still am. I always figured, well, I started in my first firm. So I worked for Raymond James and Associates. So I technically started in finance when I was 16 in high school. And I would go to school, a couple hours a day, then I'd go work at the firm. So I started pretty early there. So I always thought I'd go back into finance, but I said, well, I'm in college. I want to explore. I want to learn. I want to see some things because I'd never really seen anything. All I saw for the most part was Michigan and maybe a couple other places, but nothing too advanced or too special. So I wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world. And I figured, go learn and go see what's out there. And whatever I was going to learn, I thought, in business or otherwise, I probably learn on the job or take more courses down the line, but I just wanted to travel. But in hindsight, it was really the best thing ever because James Madison College, amazing college. It's this honors college. It's a residential college at Michigan State. The professors there were absolutely amazing. They took a liking and they really helped upskill me and my skills because I was behind. I don't think I had any business being in a honors college, but they let me in. So there you go. And they really took a liking to me and they really helped me upskill so that I would be able to obviously graduate, but perform on a different level. So in hindsight, man, James Madison College is a big part of the reason why I'm able to do what I do now today. I'll give you an example. I just came back from Singapore, never been to Singapore, never covered any events or anything else out there. And it reminded me of being back in college again. I'm like, wow, going to explore another country I've never been to, going to relate to a bunch of individuals I haven't. And, I'm doing interviews, of course. So I'm there for work. But I was like, wow, it just reminded me of college. And I'm like, just having that international mindset and all of that they taught me allows me to then go venture into other markets and to really excel. It's an amazing thing. And that's
Now,
in retrospect. That wasn't by plan, obviously. Not claiming I'm that smart.
what made you not go to seven a double major with a business if you were at
Did you not
16?
hear my 2.6 area? I didn't say I was smart. What do you mean? Are you listening to me, Amanda? I didn't say, oh, I was 4.0 and I was good at school.
You were
What
an
do you mean double
overworker.
major?
You should
Do
have
you
double majored with finance and international relations.
Well,
I know it's a little too
okay,
late, but
no. In all fairness, I was a senior within 3 years, like 2.5 years. And so you're right. I didn't say I had good grades, but I was a senior really quickly. And then I worked during the same time as well. So I was still working. I guess a little fun fact, Amanda. So the way that I paid my way through college is, those big Brinks trucks or ATM or car guys that you see driving around? So when I was in college, I would work Friday to Sunday. Maybe I put in like 40 hours, like a legit 40 hours. And I'd be on the truck working. It was kind of funny because if you came by my apartment and you didn't know me, and let's just say you walk in, now this is Michigan, you'd see like, bulletproof vest on the table. You see some guns, but that was all for work, all legal, of course. But it was just not your average college apartment, we'll say, but it was for work. So I didn't really have time for another major, but because I was working too and paying for college. So, only so much you can do there.
that's fair. So when you graduate college, was that in 4 years?
Oh no, I did it slower. I did it in 6 years. So I'm about to graduate, like I'm pretty close, and I'm like, do I really want to graduate and not even be 21 yet? I'm like, college is supposed to be the best time of your life, and this and that. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So I didn't take classes for almost 2 years before I finally finished after it, and I started a record label with some friends, and we are traveling and touring. It was insane, actually. It was a very interesting early 20s to be doing something like that in that time period. And we had music on the radio. By the way, I'm not musically inclined. I was executive producer. There was an artist that was signed and that actually makes music. And these people knew what they were doing. I was just pretty decent at business. So that was my piece of it as executive producer and, the business side of things. But I didn't want to graduate college and be like, I graduated really quick, best time, undergrad time of your life, and you're not even 21. Nah, I wasn't about that life, Amanda. I knew the work world was trying to get me. They're trying to get me, and I'm like, you can't have me yet.
My God. So once you graduated in 6 years, then where'd you go from there?
Moved to Arizona. I ended up moving out to Arizona. Just started making my way west. I was working doing insurance and then some other finance gigs and started working for some of the bigger brokerages. And I think I spent like a solid 5 years out there, something like that, just building my career, getting my licenses, like that kind of thing. It was a good time. I love Arizona. Great. And I saw, buildings popping up and there's all kinds of expansion. And it was just a real exciting time. So I really enjoyed Arizona. And then after that was California.
So it was Arizona and then you went to California.
Yeah. So as I just kept going through my finance career, getting promotions, doing other things, that's what led me there. And ultimately, and I moved to Pasadena originally, and then Century City and Beverly Hills.
So you were developing all this finance, and I'm so curious when you had that conversation about not even knowing what a podcast was.
Oh, I finally go out on my own and I start my own financial firm. And at around this time, one of my mentors, he's telling me, you got to write a book, you got to do all this other stuff. And I'm like, a book? I don't want to do a book. Like broke people write books. Like, why do I want to do that? I didn't have any concept of like marketing, podcasts, books. I didn't know any of that stuff. I was a finance guy. I grew up in finance and that's just what I knew. So I didn't really know anybody that wrote books. I didn't know why to do it or any of that stuff. And so I did what he said. I wrote the book and it was called Money Matters. And things just started to happen. I found myself on speaking tours as far away as China and the brand started to grow. That was insane. People were just finding me cold on LinkedIn. I'm like, what? What is this? This is kind of crazy. And so as that grew, people started to approach me and ask me, could I help them publish a book? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Of course I can't. Like, I'm a financial advisor. I'm gonna help you publish a book. That sounded just stupid to me at first. I'm like, what? So one person asked me, I'm like, no. Second person asked me, I'm like, no. Third person, I'm like, all right, fine. Like there's something here. I don't know, but God's sending me these people that want me to publish them. I don't know why. A financial advisor to publish a book, that makes sense, right? No. So I look and I look out there and I see what models, if I was to publish a book, would make sense. And I saw what, I don't know if you remember Chicken Soup for the Soul, like the original, like Jack Canfield, Deepak Chopra, all that. So yeah, so huge series. I remember reading them when I was growing up and I was like, oh, what if we had something like that for entrepreneurs and executives? And I was like, that'd be cool. So I went back to some of those same people that asked me to publish a book. And I was like, hey, what if we do something like Chicken Soup for the Soul, but it'll be for, entrepreneurs. And so they're like, yeah, let's do it. And so everybody kicked in some cash and then we launched our first book. And at that time, when I was pitching a gentleman by the name Shirag Sagar, who is now the co-founder of Mission Matters, I originally was pitching him to be in a book. And he said, man, I like this. Not only do I like this, I like the business of this. We should start a business with this. And I'm like, a business? This is just a book. And he came from the media space. So he actually knew about media and he'd grown some large media brands in the past. I hadn't. So I didn't even know what it was. And so I'm like, all right, well, if this is a business and you say so, like, let's do it. And so that started really the path and the progression, which then led to the first podcast. And I was like, why are we trying to sell books? Why are we going to set a podcast? Doesn't make any sense. And he's like, no, this is why we do it. This is where we do it. And that's where I eventually said, okay, let's do it. And then we launched the first show.
Wow. And when was that?
That probably, my memory might be slipping, but let's call it around 2017-ish, maybe 2016.
So it's been a little bit now. It was pre-COVID.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've done over 6,000 episodes now. So yeah, we've been putting in work over here.
Wow. And you didn't even know what a podcast was before.
No, I never listened to one. I didn't know what it was. I was just like, I never, if I heard about it, it was through something else. I don't know, but I know I wasn't listening to any shows. That's for sure.
You were just on board.
Yeah, well, after I started, the interesting thing was that in retrospect, like again, I didn't know at the time, but if you think about it, when I was a financial advisor, I talked to people on the phone all day long. So I would be having conversations. I'd be doing that. I mean, that was a big part of my job is talking to clients, whether I'm selling them, whether I'm helping other clients. So to me, I probably had tens of thousands of conversations that were just like podcasts before I even touched a mic. Like I just had, it was just the same thing. So in the beginning, I'd be like, especially when I was just starting to do this and we are getting audience and people are listening, I used to call myself a over glorified call center employee. Like, what do you? I'm like, well, think about it. If you're working a call center and you're talking to somebody, you're being recorded. The only difference is the person that's listening to it is probably like your manager for quality control. But like in this case, instead of a manager listening, we're recording the same call and now we're distributing it on this magical platform called Apple and Spotify and all the other aggregators. People would get so mad when I'd say that. I'm like, what? That's what I'm doing. I mean, at the physicality of it, that's what I'm doing.
Oh my God.
T-Mobile, can I help you with your bill?
I'm dead. Never expected you to have that comparison. I have heard a comparison even similar for what it's worth.
The Manders Mindset, you got to come with the fire. Come on.
I can see the similarities there. But oh my God, people don't like you comparing the two.
Well, what do you think? We all want to feel important.
That is fair. Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm just saying.
That's true, though. It's still just a conversation, and they're both being recorded.
That's what I'm saying. It's a conversation. Technically speaking, depending on the type of conversation you're having. I mean, I've had some amazing conversations with my clients over the phone, and that's where I kind of understood, and that's where I got my original kind of, I guess you'd say, inspiration. Is I was like, I don't come from a bunch of money or privilege or anything like that. So I think about it, and I'm like, wow. When I was managing money, I had the good fortune of having these clients that were further along, and some of them were really, really successful entrepreneurs and business people. And they would always give me tips on my career and words of advice and other things like that. Like they would pay it forward in investing their knowledge to me as a young, brand new financial advisor who they saw maybe had some promise. And so I was like, wow, but how many people get that privilege in life or have that luck? And I'm like, wow, I want all the other people out there that maybe can never have a client like this or could never even have a conversation with a person like this. Like, what a blessing it is to be able to record that conversation and to be able to get that knowledge for everyone to benefit from. So that's where I got my original inspiration for like even how to conduct an interview. If we were going to call those early days interviews, I don't know. They could also been just called recorded conversations from Adam that were uploaded and not edited. Amanda, it'd be so funny. People would be like, especially friends, like, you know how close friends want to be like, they want to help you. So they're like, Adam, I don't know, like the editing, the audio, it just sounds off. Like there was this and you could this. And I'm like, really? Oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Can you listen to the next episode and tell me? I'm going to tell my team to see if they can get that fixed. I didn't even have any editors hired at that point. You know, we weren't even building that part of the business. They'd listen to it again. No, Adam, it's still there. I'm like, well, what do you hear? Okay, I'm going to get it fixed. And I was just getting downloads. I wasn't editing anything.
You didn't. You were telling me it was changed, but it wasn't changed?
Yes. This is a tell-all show, you said.
He actually didn't say that you did. You were the one who said it that long term.
Well, how am I going to change my mindset if I don't get this off my chest?
Oh my gosh. So I'm curious.
But we got downloads.
Yeah.
That was good. It was a necessary evil, okay, Amanda?
Okay. Noted. You had never listened to a podcast before. Now you start recording them. What would you say surprised you the most? Oh, yeah.
The feedback, like I was just shocked. Like people were so nice. It was amazing. I mean, think about it. Like in all reality, my show was terrible. Like just, I mean, think about it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just talking, but I was very authentic in saying like, hey, I don't actually know what I'm doing. We're recording another episode though. And my guest is, what's your name again? So I was very transparent in the fact that I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just like, okay, let me be a little bit more specific. YouTube is mean. People on YouTube and their comments and things like that, YouTube's vicious. Like they'll come at you on YouTube. There's some trolls. They're mean. You look at YouTube, Instagram. Oh my gosh. People on Instagram are mean. God forbid you post something that's not the right angle. They're mean. Podcasts and podcasters, the podcasting community and people that listen to podcasts, I feel like they were just like, oh, bless this little podcaster's heart. He'll get better. Let's keep listening. Let's pray for him. I don't know, but they're just nice. I feel like podcast listeners are nice. So I was just shocked at the response and that people were listening and they were very encouraging. And even other hosts that were further along, like maybe, and for anybody else, okay, I do say YouTube is mean and I stand by that, but maybe somebody else has had a different experience on YouTube. And by the way, we have a YouTube channel. I'm on YouTube and all that other stuff and every platform. So Instagram, Ask Adam Torres, and we're everywhere. But I just mean like in the beginning, especially when I didn't deserve for people to be nice to me because the content wasn't necessarily very good, they still were. And I was just blown away by that. And it almost made it to where I would feel guilty if I didn't keep on doing it.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because they were depending on it at that point. Like people wanted more episodes, and so even though they weren't necessarily good, like what are you gonna do?
That's a true point. I've even heard that at different conferences, like podcasting conferences I've gone about. Directing it, once you build that base, even if you've got a crappy podcast, like if it releases each day at whatever time, like you've got people expecting that.
Yeah, early on, I mean, now we release so many episodes, but early on, I remember I didn't release for a little while, and I started getting emails, and people were worried about me, and I'm like, wow, okay, sorry, okay, I'll get to work, my bad.
Oh my gosh. What I mean, that's adorable. I think that's so cute. From people you didn't necessarily know.
Yeah, especially because guests, I was interviewing, so my record is 91 interviews in a week. I was averaging when I first started, and we were first building an audience, anywhere between 60 and maybe 70, 75 a week.
And
Yeah,
how
those are
did you
busy.
manage that?
I can tell you that the schedule was booked literally for 12 hours a day, pretty much every single day. And then I started doing them on Saturdays, but then I wasn't having as much fun. I feel like the content wasn't as good. So then I just scaled back and I only did it from Monday through Friday. And the way our company's set up, there's another business partner, another co-founder named Shirag. And so he would handle a big part of the partnerships, the other things. And we have other employees that are in charge of their profit centers. So we do a lot of business in PR. So we do PR for clients. We launch shows, so podcasts. So we do that piece too. We've launched over 250 shows. We publish books. We published over 400 authors. One of our most notable, Barry Sanders, the running back. I'm from Michigan, so I got to plug that. We published his autobiography. And then we also do a lot in the branding space and social media. So we're active, but that's because we have great people that work for us. Like it's a team effort over here. There's no way that I could do all of those interviews if it was just me and I'm trying to do this and that. It's our team, honestly. Like I get a lot of credit because I'm facing the camera, I'm doing these interviews, which I understand there's a certain amount of time, talent, and pain that goes into that in the early days. I mean, I wasn't built for this. I remember at the end of a long day of doing 14, 15 hours of interviews, I'd be in the fetal position with a bag of ice on my head, just like, oh, kill me. I don't want to talk to a single person. Don't anybody talk to me. Period. But I feel like just like going to the gym, I built endurance. I built endurance to where now it's a little bit different. And 9 years later of this business and thousands of interviews, now it's what I do. It's my sport.
Wow. It's your sport. I'm so curious because I'm trying to do some math in my head. Say 10 years ago, would
hmm
you have, even though you didn't know necessarily what a podcast was, would you have considered that you would be doing something like this?
No, no, I didn't even understand. No, and the reason why I would say, even if, let's say I knew what a podcast was, the problem is with my mentality back there is I didn't understand the importance of it. And what I mean by that is the importance of sharing stories, of connecting, of things like that. I was very left brain. So all I spent my life on was in books and really numbers and investing. So I spent, let's say, 90% of my time on my left brain and just thinking about the money side of things, the really literal sense of what money does and a lot of responsibility when you're managing money for clients and you're responsible for their lives. I mean, really, because they're trusting you to help them make decisions that are going to impact, their kids going to school, their wives, their retirement, all those things. So I didn't understand the other piece of it. And I didn't understand like why people should share stories, why they should connect, why they should get involved in that piece of it. Like I just didn't really understand the humanity of it. So I don't think I would have had the vision to think that I could do this. If I would have known that this was a thing, if and I would have had this insight back then, absolutely. I think it would have been amazing and I would have started earlier. But that being said, I mean, the whole industry as a whole. I have a book coming out, Amanda, which I'm going to send you one as soon as it's out. It's called 1 Billion Podcasts, The Future of All Media. And it's a book took me 9 years to write, but it's 50 pages. And it's 3 inches by 5 inches, and it's all independent thought. It's all the thesis of the book is there's going to be 1 billion podcasts, and I map out why. And so this is so that not everybody's going to agree with this, by the way, but I map out why. But one of the main reasons why I think it's important that we should consider this and why we should be launching shows and more people should be doing what you're doing, Amanda, bringing people on shows is because this is the first time in history that we've all had the opportunity to take part in writing our own history. If you think about going back in time, who was in charge before? Whoever owned the printing press, whoever owned the ink, whoever had the knowledge or the ability to read or to write. It was whoever could memorize long prose and regurgitate it and pass it down from generation to generation. Histories of families, histories of people, histories of did an event happen? Did it not happen? Did a genocide happen? Did it not happen? I mean, all of these things. And now is the first time in history when everybody can take part in telling a story. Andy Warhol once said that we'll all have our 15 minutes of fame in the future. I like to say that we'll all have our moments of understanding that we're all media outlets now. The moment you set up one social media account, you are a media outlet, period.
That's really true. And you think it's a good thing that people are able to share joy more easily?
Absolutely. Because the more people that do, and what I like about your question too is that let's explore the opposite. if you're sitting on the sideline and complaining and talking about what change and all these other things, or looking at other people's content that you don't agree with just so you can criticize them, but you're not actively creating, then you're to blame too. There's got to be another side. There's got to be other opinions. For the first time ever, there's no excuse. It's so easy to start a podcast. My first podcast I started in, like, to say it was 10 minutes, I'm being liberal. It might have been 5 minutes it took me to start it. And I did it all wrong, by the way. So I'm saying maybe take at least an hour and figure out how to do it. Or I'm going to give, again, you a book, and all the listeners, whoever wants you, can shoot me a DM at Ask Adam Torres, and I will send you a free copy, nothing attached, no string attached. But send me a DM and I'll send you one if you want to learn how to launch one. But there's no excuse. There's no excuses. So you can either be part of whatever you feel is a solution or not. I'm not even judging the solution. I'm just saying that the more people that are involved, the better the conversation, the better for people to weigh in on different types of opinions, and to get out of their echo chambers that were created by social media and all the rest that we got on. So get out of your echo chamber, go out there, network, and create.
I'm curious, just devil's advocate, what you say. Anybody thought that it's people sharing their ego if they're sharing their story?
Oh, I love that because, that's where I came from. I thought that when I was going to write mine, I'll give you a very specific example. When I was writing my first book, they were like designing the cover, and I'm like, and I didn't want my picture on it. And they're like, well, you got to have your picture on it, Adam. Nobody knows you. You're a business owner. We know you, but you got to understand marketing. People need to recognize your face. That's a piece of this game. If you want people to move your book, to sell it, to, those type of things. And I'm like, yeah, that was my biggest fear. I'm like, I don't want people to think that I'm just on this like ego trip. Look at me. My face is on a book and blah, blah, blah. So I came from that same school of thought. So if somebody's listening to this and they think it's all about ego, you're in good company. I thought like that as well. I will tell you that it may start from ego for some people, but I don't think anybody, unless they're just like clinically narcissist, I don't think anybody, if they're putting out work authentically, I don't think you can last in the ego zone too long. Because if you're doing good work and if you're authentic, the feedback you're going to get from people and the good that you're going to do based on the stories that you're sharing, it just melts the ego away to me. Because you see, you're actually helping people. You're actually doing really good work and people are connecting. And that to me kind of melts through the ego. For some, it might start at ego. For some, they might be fearful that they don't want, like myself, that they don't want other people to think that, oh, this is just this guy that's on an ego trip and now he's got a show, now he's got a book. He wants people to look at him like, what's missing? I was scared of all that stuff, but I did it anyway. And after the fact, when I started getting the response and people genuinely like were interested in what I was doing, it was like, wow. And I'll tell you the earliest show. So even before this, my earliest show, I was an early streamer, like back on like, people probably don't remember these platforms, but way back when on Periscope, my very, very first show was called The Gratitude Show. And all I would do was, I didn't know anything about a show or anything. I was just streaming. I had one question I asked Amanda, what are you grateful for? And when somebody else would come on, I just ask them that. And it was a stream. So people would just come on. And then that evolved. And then I started giving people I would do it the same time every day. So if I didn't do it, people would be on Twitter like, hey, Adam, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? Whatever. Like people actually genuinely care. And I'm like, whoa. It scared me because there were like thousands of people watching this random stream. And all I'm doing is asking one question, like, what are you grateful for? And there's people all around the world that are asking, and they're sharing these heartfelt, like real things about what they're grateful for. I remember having one woman on who she just got her certificate, and she was one of the first women programmers to get a very specific certification in Saudi. And that was big because they were just starting to kind of loosen up some rules. And she was part of this program and she's sharing it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Then I started giving people these gratitude missions. And one of them I remember saying, I would be like, okay, today I want everyone to just text somebody that they love randomly and just say, hey, I'm grateful for you. And I'm glad you're in my life. And the next day, the response I got from that, like I had people in the comments, because again, this was streaming. It wasn't like two face to face like this. So people were in the comments. And I mean, I remember one guy's talking about like my wife started crying and she called me after and she told me like, something like 12 years of marriage. that she doesn't remember him ever just saying outright like that, like, I'm grateful for you and this, like the way she did. And I was like, whoa. And I just started to have these little experiences little by little that opened up my eyes to really the importance of what it is that we do in terms of sharing story and connecting. Like what we're doing today, Amanda, we created something by you inviting me on your show and being a great host. We created a piece of content, a piece of media that didn't exist before. It's beautiful. It's amazing.
I agree with everything you said. And you mentioned about helping people. I had a guest tell me, and I don't even remember this all the time now. And podcasts are like one of big benefits of this. You never know who or how many people you might be helping, even if you never hear it from them. You might
Yeah.
not, but something you say could help shift how somebody else shows up in their life.
Yeah. It does. And the way I like to think about that is when for myself, I'm sure I've listened to content and watched a clip that helped me along the way. So why would I not think that the same thing would happen for somebody else for something that was created? It's the same exact thing. It's kind of like I like to tell people, and my comparison is when you know how like you're shopping for reviews or you're shopping online and you're looking to see if there's any reviews under whatever. It's like, okay, so you shop online and you look for reviews. But if you have a product yourself, and I see this happen all the time with branding clients or things like that, and you're like, okay, you use reviews to make shopping decisions. But for your product that you created, if it doesn't have any reviews on there, why wouldn't you think that other people are going to do the exact same thing? You need reviews. Like you need reviews. That's the validation. So we all as humans, I mean, some have higher aptitude, some have lower, whatever that means, right? But we all make decisions somewhat similarly on some spectrum. Nobody's gonna typically, if they're saying, gonna make a decision that's like, oh, I want to hurt myself unless they're experiencing something different, right? But in general, we're all going to kind of operate in the same wavelength in our decision making ability. So when we're putting out episodes, when we're creating content like that, we're benefiting from it. Chances are that somebody else is going to benefit from it as well.
That's completely true. I completely agree. I want to transition a tad. I tend to ask most guests this, and I'm very curious what your answer for this is
Oh,
going
I'm scared, Amanda. What do you ask most guests? Come on, get it out there.
to
Get it out. I'm
I'm sure
worried. Go
you've
for
had
it.
I'm sure you've had many of these, but I'm curious what you would say your biggest aha moment is you've had in your life.
That was actually recently. So it was last October. I don't know if you remember that there was these hurricanes, Hurricane Milton. I was unfortunately during that there was these tornadoes that came down there, pretty spontaneous. And out of those tornadoes, 6 people passed. One of them was my mother. And when that happened, that was an aha moment. And I'll tell you why it was an aha moment. You know, when you lose a loved one, that's the first parent I've lost. It was horrible. And it was like really spontaneous, obviously. Like I was on the phone with her the morning before or the day before, and we were making jokes and we were just laughing the way that we normally do. And she was telling me about her bathtub. She's like, because apparently when there's hurricanes in Florida, they clean out the bathroom. They're like, yeah, just in case if something happens, then I'll be in the bathtub. And I'm cracking up and I'm like, oh, mom, I still remember my last conversation with her. I was like, oh, mom, don't forget. She's like, what? I was like, don't forget your paddle. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, you know how you see on TV when they're in those boats? Well, maybe you're going to be floating away in your bathtub and you need your paddle so you can get there. She started laughing. She's like, come on, Adam. I'm like, no, it's okay. So then, I mean, that's how we were. We were always cracking up and having jokes. So then, unfortunately, the next day she wasn't with us anymore. And so that was and by the way, it was a crazy story. Like it made New York Times, people like all over the place. It was just insane. And even her dogs went viral because they found the dogs and they were, I think like CNBC did some things and it was like the feel good moment of the hurricanes and the tornadoes, all of that stuff. So it was a crazy story. But the aha moment was as I'm like dealing with all this afterwards, as you can imagine, it's a horrible time in my life. I looked at what I valued at that point. And when I thought about it, okay, you think about, okay, your mom leaves you a house or this or that, whatever, but none of that kind of stuff matters. What mattered was my most valuable possessions to this day are that I brought my mom on my show 3 times. I had 3 different recordings with her. And the last time I went out to see her, I did a podcast recording with her and surprised her. And so that was my aha moment. I was like, wow, this is so much bigger than money. This is so much bigger than connecting. This is about legacy. Like, I'm not married. I don't have kids. I don't have grandkids, nothing like that, obviously. But I hope to, one day be married, have kids, things like that. If that's in my future, great. But when I think about it, like if I do have kids, her grandkids are going to hear those recordings, and that'll be how they hear directly from their grandmother. In the past, maybe we had some pictures or, give it a generation, give it 2 max, and those stories are forgotten. But to have those special interviews where my mother was able to tell her story. And in the book that I mentioned, the 1 Billion Podcast, I actually ended, I will do one spoiler for the book. I end the book and I talk about my mom in the conclusion. And I say, I often wonder what would happen if my mom had started a podcast. Like, what kind of things would she talk about? In her 40 years of working with at-risk youth as a social worker, working in schools and otherwise, like, what would her show have talked about? She would have talked about empathy. She would have talked about forgiveness. She would have told people that were abused physically, sexually, all of the above, that it wasn't their fault. It wasn't their fault. And she would have told people that they were special, and her energy would have lived on through that show. So that's when I realized how big this podcasting thing is. It's not just recording. It's not small. It's not like we literally can collectively change the world for the better. That's 40 years of her knowledge and wisdom and experiences that are lost because she didn't have a show. Got 3 recordings, but it's not enough. The reason why I started coming on shows and guesting and things like this, so I've been in the business now 9 years. And I just started coming on shows in January, and I've been on about maybe like 80 shows or so. I didn't understand the importance. Remember what I told you before? Like when I first started, I did my first book, I was like, oh, that's probably just like an ego trip or this or that. Well, I never wanted to go on other people's shows because it's gonna be like, oh, this guy coming on shows to brag about what he's done or what he's got or this or that. And then that realization made me understand, no, I'm doing this for other people, for the host, for other people that are listening, for people that hopefully I can inspire to start shows and to get in the game and to start telling their story. So once I had that piece of it, it's like, oh no, let me start going on shows. And again, I've done like 80 or so since January. And I'm just getting started. So I'm looking to come on more shows and hopefully inspire more people to start their own show, because podcasting's completely changed my life. And I believe, and this is one of the themes in the book, I believe that through podcasting, we can collectively all progress humanity. And that's one of the things that I'm arguing in the book. Like, it's bigger than just recording.
I'm so sorry about your mom.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a crazy story.
It's the craziest thing you ever seen too. When I went and looked at it was a complete act of God. You can't even be mad. There was literally her neighbor was in the carport that's attached to her home, and he was fine, which thank God he was fine. I'm glad nothing happened to him. He was in the car. So it was literally like a direct hit. That one home was just picked up and thrown. It was crazy. Direct. You can't even make this up. It was the houses on both sides were nowhere near what that was.
Wow.
It was insane.
That's great you got those 3 recordings with her, though.
Oh, I love
Like,
it.
even for yourself personally.
Yeah. Well, it did a lot good for the family too, though. And that's the interesting thing. And this is the power of media. And getting back to the thing of, is this guy ego? Is it not? Like when I went down there to start handling all the other things and all that like this, all these miracles started happening. It was crazy, Amanda. I'm telling you, like, I've never been through anything like this before, but all these miracles started happening. I just started writing them down. And then when I was done with like this 2 days of emptying out her home and all these other things, I'm sitting in the car and I'm just looking at all the miracles, just kind of like to remind myself. And I was like, I want to remember this moment. So I literally start recording a monologue. I've never done a monologue in my life. An hour and a half of just plotting out the miracles that happened. I released it on YouTube. And when I did that, I shared it with some of the family. And my mom was one of many sisters. There were 12 siblings altogether, I believe. And I think it was like 11 daughters, 1 uncle. So my poor grandpa, sorry. No, I'm on the board of women organizations. I promise. I love it. It's all good. I do a lot. I published an entire book, but I was just thinking 11 women and 1. Poor grandpa. I don't care. Whatever. Just put all the comments on Amanda's YouTube channel, not mine. Please. Um, mean YouTube. Um, but like I was saying, like I started mapping out all of these like miracles and just, I mean, these were insane. And it kind of progresses from like something small all the way up to like you would not believe the final miracle. It's just like, absolutely, it's impossible. What, and it, again, it ended up being an hour and a half. When I shared it with them, I had no idea how much that would help the family during this grieving because I lost a mother, they lost a sister, right? They grew up with each other. Many of them raised her. She was like a middle, roughly child. So, hits different. So that was something that the family told me they really appreciated me doing. And then that just gave me, even you said the original question when there was aha moments, that even gave me a like further understanding. So one was my mother. The second was to share that moment of grief and to document like the miracles that God made happen during that time were just to pay it forward and to remind people. I'll give you one that was just like, this was probably the first miracle that I noticed. And I was like, this just doesn't make sense. And it's funny because this miracle keeps coming up and popping its head up to me every couple of months, actually, which is insane. So I show up in Florida, mind you, nobody knows me. I'm at this airport and I'm going to get a car. I use some off-brand car rental place. And again, nobody knows me there. I wasn't recognized as a host or anything else like that. I'm literally at this random small little counter and my turn was next and I come up. Nobody knows why I'm there. Again, I'm not a loyalty points member, nothing you could think of. They don't know me from nothing. I'm just a random guy renting a car. And I come up next, and the guy's like, "Oh, Adam, by the way, we got a surprise for you outside." And I'm like, I'm thinking like, there's like, what do you mean you have a surprise for me? Like, it makes no sense. I got a surprise for you outside. And he's like, so then we do all the paperwork, everything else right there. I go outside, brand new Mustang, drop top, beautiful. They charge me for like compact. That's impossible. Like, there's no, I don't know the last time you've been to any rental place, but this wasn't any, like, I didn't slip the guy a 20, like nothing. Like, just, you don't pay for the cheapest rental car and then get upgraded to literally the newest, most expensive car. I'm absolutely positive they have on the lot for no reason. Miracle, absolute miracle. I'll give you one more. I check in at the hotel. It's a long day, whatever. I was busy doing like all the paperwork and things that you have to do at the funeral home, things like that. But I still look pretty good. I was like, in terms of like, I didn't look too crazy off the street. I was still eating and everything else like that. So I'd say I look pretty normal. I walk in and I realize I hadn't really eaten much. I forgot to eat that day. So I go to the hotel and they have those little kind of like off to the side stores. So I go to there and I get, let's call it like $50 worth of snacks because I'm going to be there for a couple of days. So like beef jerky, like all this other stuff might have been 50, might have been $60. This is a random hotel. I've never stayed there before. It's not like a Marriott Points or this or that, whatever, nothing like that. It's just a random hotel. They don't know me from anything. They didn't recognize me as a host, nothing like that. I go to pay for it and he's like, "Oh, no charge. You're fine. Have a good night." I've been to hundreds of hotels, hundreds. Nobody's ever comped me. It wasn't on the room, wasn't anything. I mean, I got a basket full of like these snacks. "Oh, no charge. Go ahead." I had a regular room. It wasn't anything like that. Yeah, you're giving me it for everybody at home that's watching some video. You could see Amanda's face. If you're listening in audio, she's freaking out too. And you can see it on her face. I'm telling you, Amanda, I go through this and there's like 20 or something again. And so on this recording I did, it's on YouTube. People can go on our YouTube channel and see it or search my mom's name, Mary Grace Viramontes, on YouTube, and you'll see the recording and you can see what I'm talking about. These are the small miracles. They get crazier. By the time you get to the end, you're like chills. They get crazier. And I had to start documenting them. I didn't plan on doing a monologue or anything. It was just when these things would happen, I was just like, what? And the recording only has X amount. I think I forgot like 3 or 4 that I remembered after the recording. I didn't add them again because that wasn't the point. The point was just to document that moment and just to remember to see a spirit of like when something like that happens. And those are the 2 small ones. They get crazy.
Wow. And now you documented these and you said it was an hour and a half long of your recording?
A monologue. And I was just sitting in the car before I went to the airport and I'm just going through my notes of like, and I'm not talking, I'm literally just like how I just described the miracles to you just now, like just like that. That's probably as long as I spend on them. So this isn't like some long drawn out dissertation. There were just so many. Like you'll go one after another, after another, after another for an hour, almost an hour and a half. And by the time you get to the end, your mind's just blown. I feel like it needs to be a short one day or something. Somebody needs to make a short film or something out of those because they're all real.
That's so cool. I love that you recorded 3 episodes with your mom. Have you recorded any other episodes with any family members?
I'm gonna be bringing my dad on. I got some plans to bring him on, but that was the only one. I know my mom. I used to, and by the way, I didn't even. It wasn't intentional. I didn't have this insight when I did it. I just always had a type of relationship with my mom where I would just invite her places, things like that. Like I have a big conference in Florida or something else. I'd invite her. I remember I had my like before this happened, like the last time I was out there was for a pretty big conference. I told the event organizer, "Hey, my mom's gonna come, and is it okay?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, of course." She walked into the back and you could tell who it was, little old lady. She's waving at me. And the guy, his name's Chris, stopped the whole conference, told everybody turn around and wave at her and clap. Ridiculous. She didn't miss a beat. She did like the princess wave and was like, "Oh, thank you." Like basically saying, "Everybody can sit down, peasants." She was hilarious. So I didn't know any better. We just used to have fun. That's why I invited her on the show.
That worked out in your favor even more so. So it wasn't necessarily like you were having even people you were close with on the show.
No, but the aha moment was people should. So not to get into your business, Amanda, but if you have living relatives that you want to, mom, dad, whomever, invite them on. You will not regret it. You will not. And then by the way, on the media side, this I learned after the fact, by the way. This wasn't planned after the fact. From the king of media, Howard Stern, I was reading one of his books, and guess who one of his favorite guests ever were? His mom. She was guaranteed ratings. And it got to the point, at least in his book, he says, so I'm quoting his book, roughly paraphrasing, is that at a certain point, she didn't even want to come on the show. She was tired of it because he kept bringing her on so much because she was guaranteed ratings. So he was using his mom, using his words. It was an easy segment when he didn't have any ideas. That was in retrospect. I didn't know that. I mean, I was just doing it because I just enjoyed and had fun with my mom. But for those of you out there that are like thinking it's a bad idea, I don't care if you have a serious show or this show or that show, bring your mom on the show or somebody you love. It's fine.
I agree completely.
Yeah, and she has a playlist on her channel. It's funny. And you can hear them. Like people can hear. I love it. She's got her own Mary Grace Vera Montez playlist on our YouTube channel and stuff. It's fun.
Oh, I love
Then in
that.
the book, I put a QR code so that people, after they read the end of the chapter, they can scan that QR code and they can listen to her if they want to and listen to her interviews because she was really 40 years working with at-risk youth, the least of these, as some people would call them. She'd lose students every year to violence and just the most horrible things you could think of. She worked with the really at-risk population of youth, and she pushed through and she still brought her compassion and she gave tips and how do you relate to people and what was her magic? Because I just always marveled. I'm like, wow, how can she be so positive and upbeat when she was surrounded by some things that made her feel very obviously you got to feel helpless at a certain point when you can't control and help. You can't change everybody's life. You have to live their life, right? But to understand that, what could she do? And sometimes it'd be as little as in one of the segments she talks about, I'd take them to get a, 99-cent McDonald's hamburger. And they loved it. Like nobody had ever taken time to do something like that for them or cared about them at times. So something that small could make a world of just being kind to somebody. A stick of gum, smiling, look at them in the eye, treating somebody with respect that maybe has never been treated with respect by an adult in their entire life.
Those are some powerful lessons. And you just shared a couple of hers right now.
That's why I
love
wish
it.
she had a show. We only got 3 episodes. It's okay though. She's throwing me love from up above, and she'll make sure I keep doing her work one way or another.
I am sure. Wow, Adam, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this.
Oh, I did too. So good, Amanda. And keep up the good work. And I want to hear when you have some family on.
I will let you know.
You're going to be like, oh man, what is this guy? Now he's telling me to be, I learned that one from my mom too, guilt. Put that guilt on them. They'll do what you want. What? Oh, you really care, Amanda? How much? Who are you going to invite on?
Gosh, I will let you know when I interview someone from my family.
I hear you.
Oh my gosh. Have you heard of a man named Jay Shetty?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
So he's got a podcast called On Purpose. He's written a few
Oh,
books.
yeah. I know who you're talking about.
I'm a big fan, and he
He's
ends
awesome.
his
Was he like a monk or something before? Or he has a really good story. I
yes,
remember now. It rings a bell for sure. He's big. He's huge. He's got a big show. A lot of different things in his platform. He does really good work. Yeah. I think he had one of my friends on it. So like Darren Prince. We published Darren Prince in one of our books, and he was Magic Johnson's agent, and he was agent for a lot of these big celebrities like Hulk Hogan, unfortunately, who just recently passed. I'm still sad about that. But Magic Johnson was Darren Prince's first client. And I remember Jay Shetty, I got introduced to that show, not him. I don't know him, but that show through when Darren Prince was on. It's awesome. I like his work. He does good work.
I was gonna say, do you know him? You should introduce me. I'm a big fan. Big fan. I
That's awesome.
end my podcast with the same 2 segments that he ends his with, and I give
Oh,
him credit, most credit.
that's
because
awesome.
those are my
What are those segments? Tell me.
first segment is the many sides to us, and there's 5 questions, and they need to be answered in 1 word each.
Okay, go.
What is 1 word someone who was meeting you for the first time would use to describe you as?
Kind.
What is 1 word that someone who knows you extremely well would use to describe you as?
Loyal.
What is 1 word you'd use to describe yourself?
Consistent.
What is 1 word that if someone didn't like you or agree with your mindset would use to describe you as?
Stubborn.
What
I'm
is
a
1
Taurus. Come on. I'm allowed by the birthright. I'm Taurus. It's fine. Go ahead.
What is 1 word you're trying to embody right now?
Love.
Second segment is the final 5, and these can be answered in a sentence. What is the best advice you've heard or received?
Just start.
Why is that the
Just
best?
start. So just start, like begin with what you have and just keep going. Don't overthink it. If it's going to work, it will. If it's not, you should, open your eyes and you'll see it's not working, but just start. Don't be in your head too much.
Why is that the best?
Because I think a lot of times people overthink things, and myself included, by the way. So if somebody's watching this or listening to this whole time, I've been trying to tell them, start a podcast, do it. Don't be in your head, just get it done. And some people are going to walk away from this. They're going to be like fired up. They're going to be, yeah, I'm going to start one. And then they're going to tell their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their husband, their wife, their kid, their whoever, be like, I'm going to start a podcast. And then as they start sharing that, maybe they get some support. Maybe people are like, why are you doing that? Like, well, what's this show going? What's it? And by the time they're so confused in their head about what they're doing, they forgot why they were inspired to start one in the first place. So if you're feeling inspired by listening to this, and if you now understand or even feel the calling to start a podcast, then go start it. Just like literally after you're done listening, we're not done yet. There's a couple more questions. Just find an app, start it, whatever. Read my book. I'll give it to you for free. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram, ask Adam Torres, and that'll tell you how to do it. When you're worried about equipment, anything else, whatever, I answer all those questions. So just start.
What is the worst advice you've heard or received?
From well-meaning people. It's a type of advice. So I do a lot of speaking, especially in colleges and other things like that all over the place. And so a lot of well-meaning people will give you bad advice. So one of the questions I like to ask the audience is like, who in colleges, like, well, who in here wants to be a doctor? Or who does this or whatever, who wants to do a certain thing, whatever it is. And I'll ask them, well, who supports you in this effort? And who have you asked advice for? And a lot of times it's like, well, my parents are this, that, and I'll normally get to the bottom of just kind of very politely asking them, well, are your parents doctors? And normally the answer is no. And it's like, well, you're probably getting advice from the wrong person. You should be asking doctors. If you want to be a doctor and you think that's your calling, great. I'm not picking on doctors. They're wonderful. It's amazing. You need to know doctors and get your advice from doctors, and more than one, like about why, yeah, what it takes to be a doctor, not just the what, but like, what does it look like after you're in that seat as a doctor? Like that's you. So it's more so when you get advice from well-meaning people that really aren't qualified to give you that advice. That's dangerous.
What is something that you used to value that you no longer value?
I think when I was younger, I cared more about material items than I do now. I don't really care as much as I did at one point, like wearing jewelry or things like that. I used to enjoy that. It just doesn't matter to me anymore. Oh, I'm okay with first fashion and style, by the way. That particular thing, it just doesn't interest me anymore.
If you could describe what you would want your legacy to be as if someone was reading it, what would you want it to say?
Did a lot of interviews, man. He did a hell of a lot of interviews. That boy was crazy. That's it. That's fine. I'm fine.
Oh my gosh. If you could create one law in the whole world that everyone had to follow, what would it be?
The golden rule: treat others the way you want to be treated.
Why would
That's
that
it.
be the law?
That would be the law because I think we'd be nicer to each other. People would be kinder. I don't think, and the majority of people are not wired for pain to want to feel pain. Sure, there's some outliers. That's a given. Like that's an outlier. But on the extreme point of the question of if that's what everybody has to do, the majority would be treating each other nicer.
I agree. Well, thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on Manders Mindset. Come on.
Of course. Of course.
Everybody hit that subscribe button if you haven't done that yet, by the way. Come on. Amanda's putting in work over here. You better be subscribing and supporting.
Thanks, Adam. I appreciate the plug. I appreciate it.
You
Now,
deserve it.
I do like to just give it back to the guests. Any final words you want to share with the
Yeah.
listeners? No pressure, but
Ask Adam Torres on Instagram. I wasn't joking about that book, 1 Billion Podcasts. I will get you a free copy. Shoot me a DM on Instagram. Ask Adam Torres, and it's yours.
you got any final words, though?
That's it.
That's
it.
your final word?
That's
You
my
got no
final
words
one.
of wisdom?
That is
No
my
wisdom
words
to
of
share?
wisdom. That's the wisdom. I
That's
want
a
them to
plug.
go.
That's not wisdom.
That is wisdom. That entire book, 9 years to do that
Okay,
book.
maybe the book
Amanda.
is wisdom, but them sending you a DM is not a piece of wisdom.
Oh, I see what you did there. That's good.
Yeah.
Start your show. I want people to start their show, Amanda. I want them to start that show. They will not regret it. Podcasting has completely changed my life, my network, the people I know, the opportunities. It's ridiculous. I was a financial advisor. I don't come from money. I travel the world now doing this. It's crazy. I was just in Singapore. I was at F1. I was doing interviews. I'm in Asia. I got a series that's going to be coming out in Africa, talking to people. And I was at iHeart Radio today. I was on one of their shows. It's insane what can happen with podcasting if you stick with it and if you have a good heart and if you're just yourself, your authentic self while you're behind the mic. So that really is my words of wisdom. I don't know another thing or medium that's this easy, that's this natural for you to do as a human, which is connect with another human and have a conversation. They record it, put it up, upload it, other people get to listen. The naturalist thing ever. And to think that you can actually make a living, and even if you're not in it for the money, you can actually, help others and have purpose behind that. I mean, it's insane. It's amazing.
I agree. And that is some very wise wisdom.
Is that wise
Thank
enough
you,
for you?
Adam.
Oh, judger of wisdom over there. Sorry, my original wisdom wasn't good enough for you, Amanda. My bad.
It wasn't
All right.
good.
Manders Mindset, where we judge people's wisdom.
I'm not judging wisdom.
No, you
You're
judged
not the
it. You
first
judged.
guest. You're like the 30th guest. So you use that as a plug. And I was like, no, I'm going to stop this right here, right now.
Oh, hold on. Do people normally do that?
Yes.
Then it's the way you're asking the question.
How is it
It's
the way
not.
I'm
It's
asking?
not. I'm not. I hope you don't take that as bad feedback. It's just the truth. It's the way you're asking the question. You got to change the way you're asking if you're getting the same response. That's technical for any of the hosts that are here that are listening. So for the general audience, you may not care about what I'm saying, but for any hosts that are listening, they will. If you, as a host, when you're asking a question, if you continue to get a response. It could be your alliteration. It could be the way you're asking it the actual words. But when I heard that, I've done this a little while. I thought you were asking what the closing was. It could have even been, it's almost like you were asking the question going down with finality, as in it was the ending. So now that you told me it was the 30th, I didn't misread it. It's the way you're asking the question. And I don't mean to coach you on your show, but that's the way as a host, like if you're getting the same response on a particular segment, is it the guest or is it the host? So then just listen to it. You'll see when you listen back to it, you'll be like, oh, and sometimes it's just changing your tone. It could be changing the like whatever you do, but it could be the placement. It could be where in the show you put it at, but play with it. That's all.
Even though I say the word wisdom, you
It's not, I'm not, you don't, there's no ego in this for me. Like I'm not judging.
no, genuinely asking.
Well, you know the numbers. The fact that you told me I'm like the 30th or whatever that did it, if there's three people,
Maybe not exact. I'm exaggerating, but like there's
if there's four, if there's a pattern that you notice, then it's not them. They're not all going to make the same mistake at the exact same spot. That's reality. It's impossible. We can't all make the same mistake at the same spot. I'm not. And look, you're like, oh, now he wants to judge wisdom. Now he's judging my question. It's not him. It's me. What's this guy talking? No. I hope it doesn't come across like that, Amanda. I was trying to help. I promise if you listen to it, and if you're going to leave bad comments, make sure it's on her channel, not mine.
Oh my gosh. I didn't take that badly. I was genuinely just kidding.
No, I'm just being honest. Like, listen to it and take my feedback, and then think of it from a third party, because it's not necessarily the word. It could even just be the feeling, the way you're doing it. Like I thought it was the end. So that's where, if more than one person has made that mistake, then it's just switch it up a little, play with it,
Oh well. Thank you for the
and bring a family member on and tell me when. I didn't forget. Throw that guilt back up. See what I did there? Take that.
I will not forget that either.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Manders Mindset. In case no one told you today, I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you. And you got this. As always, if you enjoyed the show, I would really appreciate it if you would leave me a 5-star rating, leave a review, and share it with anyone you think would benefit from this. And don't forget, you are only one mindset shift away from shifting your life. Thanks, guys. Until next time.